Hafaday, and welcome to the Guam Contractors Association's GCA Today. And today we have a very important guest. His name is Van with the University of California, but instead of me having you provide all this information, Van's right here. Van, welcome to Guam there, young man.
Thank you, Joe.
So, tell us about you, what you do for us, what you do for the Guam's community, and specifically the Guam contractors of Guam.
All right, I'm with the University of California, San Diego. We're an authorized OSHA training institute and education center by federal OSHA. We provide various courses, OSHA numbered courses, and practically any safety topic that you can think of for general industry, construction, and the maritime industry. You may not know it, but over a third of our fatalities nationally in construction are related to falls.
Wow.
And if we have basically just 4 areas of almost all of our fatalities occur in OSHA that are investigated. We have the falls, and then we have the struck by or pinched by areas, and that would be like, for example, even traffic control, or where a vehicle enters into a work site and hits somebody, or you get backed over by your own dump truck.
Let's not let that happen.
Or you have a trench that caves in.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have the caught by, which is like machinery and those kind of things that you get caught into. And then the electrical. If we could control those 4 areas, we'd almost eliminate all of our fatalities.
Yes, amen to that. And were you ever an inspector? Were you ever the person that goes out there and,
Now, my safety and health experience goes back to 1978.
Okay, so that's a yes.
And I retired from federal OSHA as an area director in 2011.
Wow.
October 1, 2011. And prior to that, I was an assistant area director and a compliance officer and for a number of years. And in fact, I used to come out here about twice a year for six weeks at a time. Either as an inspector or as an area director, I'd come out as well. And I fell in love with Guam.
Oh, amen.
And,
Thank you.
Some of the friendliest people that you'd ever meet in the world are here in
Yes,
Guam.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And some of the most patriotic people you ever meet is here.
Amen
I
to
think
that.
Guam is probably one of the best kept secrets in America as far as if people knew how.
Oh gosh, man, this is going to go on.
If people knew how great Guam is, I think they'd be coming here versus Hawaii.
You know, I got to say this, Ben. When you think OSHA, as a small contractor myself, when I think OSHA, I'm like, oh, OSHA. And when you come to my job site, what is it that you would suggest to the small to medium-sized contractors, even to large contractors? What is the best thing that we can do in general that would say, at first sight, when you go onto that site, what is the first thing that you would notice that, this is questionable, or wow, outstanding?
Well, I think the areas that I talked about, fall hazards.
Yeah.
So
Such as
look for guardrails.
Guardrails.
Look to make sure that if they have to wear a harness and those kind of things, that they're rigged so that they're not going to fall farther than 6 feet.
Yeah.
If you can, with fall protection, have them rigged where they can't fall at all.
Yes.
To restrain. Look to the decks that they're standing on, that they're, you don't have any floor holes and those kind of things. It's full deck. If you got rebar around, make sure you got caps on those or some sort of guarding so that you're not going to fall and get impaled on them. Electrical, just make sure that you don't have frayed cords, and that you've got a ground fault circuit interrupter for your electrical, so that if the tool does short out, it's
yes,
trip
that's right.
out before you get shocked. Look where your equipment's being used, that you don't have any pinch hazards, like the superstructure of like an excavator that's going to turn around next to a wall and crush somebody. Look for a traffic control. I think a traffic control years ago here wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And we had a fatality a few years ago here on Marine Corps Drive at night. I don't know if you remember, a guy entered the work site. But when you have traffic control, even if it's set up for a short period, I try to tell people to think of the acronym ATBAT.
ATBAT.
Okay, advance warning,
Advanced warning.
So you have signs up that
Okay.
say, I've got construction ahead, I've got a
Okay.
lane restriction,
Advanced.
whatever, so that's advanced. And then the next one, you have a transition, like cones that transition you
Okay.
out of the area away from the shoulder or lane, and it gets you through there safely. And then you have a buffer area between the
Buffer.
end of that transition area
Okay.
to where the work activity is at. And then you have the activity area that's
Activity,
established.
yeah.
And then at the end, you tell the drivers that termination, that I'm out of the I'm out of the construction zone. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
End of construction.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just a simple, so if you drive through the area and you think about at bat and you go through and you can safely get in and out, I never worried about, was that sign 100 feet or 150
Yeah,
feet
yeah, yeah.
apart or whatever?
Correct.
Did it tell me in advance
Yes,
what was
yeah,
happening?
Yeah.
And so we need to have those things out there, because if the drivers aren't notified in advance, then they can enter into your work site.
Yes.
So those are the type of things to look for.
And personally experienced the situation. I live down south, and there's a lot of winding curves, turns, and I was going around a turn, and going around, and even at 30 miles per hour, then all of a sudden, bam! I see the cones, construction here, and it's like, the cones are to merge left.
Right.
And I'm like, you only had a few seconds. I mean, isn't there something to where, aren't they supposed to, there's some sort of rule where they're supposed to go past the curve regardless of how the distance, but just thinking about safety?
That they have typical applications in what they call a manual for uniform traffic control devices. And you go into that as part of the OSHA standard, and it'll tell you, here's a typical turn and everything, a curve and what you're setting up. And that'll tell you how far ahead of the advanced warning,
Yeah.
the type of signs that you
Yeah,
have to have.
okay.
And so it's to prevent that kind of thing where somebody comes right up on it
And there's that at bat.
yeah, so that's the advanced warning.
Yes.
The
yeah.
transition to get you through there safely. The buffer purpose is so if you run through those cones because you made a mistake,
Yes, yeah.
that you've got an adequate stopping distance before you hit the activity.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
a lot of us contractors should appreciate OSHA and its teaching and training, people such as you, that you bring this to us here in Guam, and especially, the university. God bless you, the university, for bringing all of this to Guam, because I think you save not just saving property, but people's lives. You affect positively that person's family. Because they could be married, they could have kids, or they could have grandkids, and this is something we just, I really appreciate all the training that you guys have done. And if there's any last word that you could send to our contractors there, please let's mention it to them.
Well, when it comes to safety and health, I would say we are our brother's keeper.
Amen.
And so if you see something out there that's unsafe,
Yes.
Point it out to somebody.
Yeah.
When it comes to safety and health, most of the time, we may not know what the standard is.
Yeah.
We might not be able to quote the regulation number,
Yeah.
but most of the time, if it's unsafe, we know it, we see it.
Yeah.
90% of the time, when it comes to safety and health, it's a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
And so I would also recommend that people consider very small contractors that may not have their own safety and health staff
Mm-hmm.
is to contact the OSHA on-site consultation service here in Guam. The guy that's the head of that is Tony Anderson.
Okay.
And they provide free on-site visits to the site and give them some recommendations. So that's one aspect for very small contractors.
And with that word, free on-site instruction, that is a blessing all its own. Well, Van, thank you very much for coming to Guam. Thank you very much for all that you and your team does. Thank you very much to the university. Thanks so much. And please enjoy Paradise Guam.
Oh, I love it here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
amen.